She prayed for 10 years, not once, not occasionally, every single night. But nothing changed. Her roof kept leaking. Her children kept sleeping hungry. And God stayed silent. Until one night, she stopped praying. And that's when everything moved. This isn't a story about someone who waited patiently and was rewarded. It's about what happens when faith runs out of strength, but not truth. And if you've ever wondered why your prayers feel unanswered, stay with me, because the ending explains the beginning. If this kind of story speaks to you, subscribe now. You're in the right place. Her name was Elena. She was 34 years old and lived on the edge of a small farming village where the roads turned to dust and promises faded quickly. 10 years earlier, her husband Matteo had left for construction, work in the city. He said it would be temporary. At first, letters came, then small payments, then silence. Elena stayed behind with 2 children, Lucas, 9, and Sophia, 7, in a fragile clay house that bent and cracked every rainy season. She worked fields that weren't hers, sold vegetables that barely covered bread, and learned how to stretch one meal into 2. People told her, God is watching. But watching didn't stop the hunger. And here was the real conflict. Eleanor still believed. But belief was getting expensive. Every prayer raised hope. Every unanswered night crushed it again. So the question wasn't if she believed in God. It was how long belief could survive disappointment. Every night, Elena knelt beside her children's bed, not dramatically, quietly. Please, she whispered. Just enough. She wasn't asking for comfort. She was asking for relief, but heaven stayed quiet. Neighbors offered advice they didn't have to live with. Be patient. God has a plan, but plans don't explain empty plates. Lucas once asked, Mom, are we doing something wrong? That question followed her everywhere. Faith started to feel less like hope and more like responsibility she was failing to carry. Still, she prayed. Not because she felt strong, but because stopping felt like betrayal. And that's the tension. No one talks about believing while slowly breaking. One afternoon, Elena passed the village school. Through the window, she saw children reading aloud, laughing, learning. Sophia pressed her face to the glass. I want to read like that. She said softly. Lucas added, maybe Dad would be proud. That was the moment, not anger, not tears. Collapse. That night, after her children fell asleep, Elena stepped outside. No stars, no moon, just clouds. She didn't beg this time. She spoke plainly. I've waited, she said. I've trusted. I don't have anything left to give. Then she said the sentence she'd never allowed herself to think, if you don't answer now. I don't know how to keep going. And for the first time in 10 years, she didn't pray again. The next morning felt strangely calm. Elena made a decision. She would leave for the neighboring town, 3 hours away, where a wealthy family needed help. It meant leaving her children alone during the week, but hunger had already taken everything else. She packed quietly. That's when she heard shouting. Her name. People gathering. And the last thing she expected, officials. Stay with this story. What happens next reframes everything before it. A man from the municipality stepped forward. There's been an identification match, he said. Elena's heart stopped. Her husband, Matteo, had been in a hospital, unidentified, for nearly a decade. An accident, a coma. 2 days ago he woke up, but here's the part no one saw coming. A labor law passed after his accident allowed compensation, but only if he regained consciousness after the investigation closed. If Matteo had awakened years earlier, there would have been nothing, no justice, no support. But now, everything aligned. Elena read his letter with shaking hands. I never chose to leave you, it said. I was waiting too. This is the angle most stories miss. It wasn't about waiting longer. It was about waiting correctly. If the answer had come earlier, it would have been incomplete. God wasn't late. He was precise, healing, laws, timing, all moving quietly. While Elena believed nothing was happening. That's the danger of judging the story from the middle. Years later, the house was rebuilt. Lucas became a teacher, Sophia a nurse, Not because suffering disappeared, but because meaning arrived. Elena never stopped praying again. She just prayed differently. Thank you. Replaced. Why? Her story helped others wait better. Elena once said something that stayed with me. I thought God was ignoring me, but he was arranging things I couldn't see. And maybe that's the truth you needed today. Not that God will answer eventually, but that he answers when the answer can finally change everything. Share this with someone who's still waiting, because God doesn't arrive late. He arrives exactly on time.